And now, What's My Line? Brought to you by Stop at Spray Deodorant. Poof, there goes perspiration. Poof Deodorant Body Powder, the body powder you spray. The Nest Shampoo, the new flowing cream shampoo. All in the first truly functional cosmetic containers, far easier to use. All created by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist. Time now to enjoy What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
On my left, the charming and brilliant young humorist, Mr. Steve Allen.
Thank you very much, leopard woman. That's pretty. And another very pretty girl on my left, one of the lovely and brilliant ladies of radio and television, Arlene Francis.
And on my left, our distinguished publisher friend, who is the American counterpart of our English publisher, Michael Joseph, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
And on my left is not only our unparalleled newscaster and panel moderator, but the hero of a scintillating article in the June issue of the Radio TV Mirror, which says that he smiles quizzically at my puns. Well, here's our own quizzical kid, John Charles Daly.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line, presented by Stopette. And if I may, I'd like to pause for a personal note. We all miss Bert Lee, one of our technicians, very much tonight. Bert is in a Long Island hospital recovering from a heart attack he suffered last weekend. He's part of our team on What's My Line, and we all wanted to send our greetings, and I know you'd want us to send yours too. So we say to Bert Lee, get well quick. And once again tonight, we're going to have some good people who've come to visit us and brought with them some interesting occupations, which we trust will give the panel some difficulty so they'll carry home some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before our panel a bit later. But now to get started, it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they've got to spot. So would you sign in, please, ma'am? Francis Johnson. Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Mrs. Johnson, and where are you from?
Whitehall, Michigan.
Whitehall, Michigan. Well, I have some friends over there on the panel who would like to know you a bit better, so would you be good enough to take a walk down in front of them for me?
Let me look at your hands, Mr. Don't waste them on Dorothy. Very nice.
There.
All right, Mrs. Johnson, and now would you be good enough to come over here and join me? And on the basis of this brief little meeting you've had with the panel, I think you probably know at this point we give them one free guess as to what your line may be, and we always begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she demonstrates something in a department store.
Mr. Allen.
I think Miss Johnson makes Band-Aids.
Miss Francis.
I think Miss Johnson aids bands.
Mr. Cerf.
Well, Miss Johnson comes from somewhere around where the cornflakes are made. I think she has something to do with breakfast foods.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mrs. Johnson, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But the panel has to dig, Mrs. Johnson, and the rules are simplicity itself. Every time you can get a no answer from them, it'll cost the panel $5. We'll keep a record of all that right up here. 10 of these no's, and you have won the game. All right, Mrs. Johnson is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mrs. Johnson, do you deal in services?
Yes.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
No.
That's one down and 9 to go, Mr.
That
Cerf.
finishes me.
Yes. In other words, you have, Mrs. Johnson, may I take it, some kind of a government job?
Yes.
Would it be a, not the national government?
Would you do that again?
Can I rule out, may I rule out the national government job?
No.
I cannot. Well, then I get a no.
Yeah, that's right. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Then shall we put back in the national government?
Yes.
Do you do your work in some place other than the town that you gave as your hometown?
No.
The work is done in Whitehall, Michigan, in other words.
Yes.
That makes it 3 down and 7 to go. Mr. Allen.
Just suspicious, that's all.
Do the people for whom you perform your services come to you?
No.
Well, now, wait a minute. We're going to have a small conference on that one.
We're going to have a small yes. Just
We
one.
need one.
Off they go into the wild blue yonder.
That's all. Time's up.
There they are, those two.
Actually, we've got a difficult question here. Mrs. Johnson and I are not quite sure how we should answer. We would say that it is necessary to come within the purview of her activities, to approach a general area in which she might be said to be functioning.
Grand.
Quizzical is the word.
I thought you were watching What's My Line? You're watching What Was That? Well, sir, they don't exactly come to you, and you don't exactly go to them. You meet them halfway, is it?
Yes.
Out behind the building someplace. Is there any training required for your work?
No.
Not the training within our definition of the term. 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, now, does your job relate in any way to any arm of the armed service, the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps?
No.
No, that's 5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Johnson, does your work in any way relate to children?
No.
No, not children are not necessarily involved. 6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Does your work have any slight connection with either lawmaking or law in
No.
any of its branches?
Did you say lawmaking or law?
That's what you
I
said.
wish
isn't
I
it,
hadn't.
Dorothy?
7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Allen.
We've never done this badly in the 18 years I've been on this program. Why don't you try to guess what we do? Do you ever wear a uniform of any kind?
No.
That makes it 8 down and 2 to go, Miss Francis.
Does your job, whatever it is, relate to the land as opposed to the air or the sea?
Yes.
It relates to a land job.
Yes.
It's nice you could land the job, too.
Is there any sort of a special booth or enclosure that you are in that would make you seem unusual on land, as opposed to being in an automobile or something? I mean, are you in any kind of an enclosure in your job?
No.
No.
Now, wait a minute. We got to think. Is the question...
You don't mean she's on exhibition?
Wow. When you say, are you in any kind of an enclosure, do you mean that incarceration or placement in said enclosure is necessary to the proper functioning?
No, but I mean, for example, if she were doing spying from a booth of some kind, as opposed to a job that would carry her in a vehicle of some kind, or under, or in a building of... Is your job other than in a large building?
Well, here we go again. Actually, I think we would have to rule that the building could be described as reasonably large. So we'll flip you with a no, shall we? 9 down and 1 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, I left the most unpleasant question for last. Have you got anything to do with taxes in any way?
No.
10 down and no more to go, and this is going to really shake your panel. Mrs. Johnson runs a lighthouse. She's a lighthouse keeper.
Oh, well, really?
I thought for a moment, Arlene, you might get on the trail when you were relating land, sea, and air and other such items.
Yes,
but...
well, wouldn't a lighthouse... Oh, yes, that's on land. You can't
Yeah,
put
it
it...
sure is. Well, you have won the full prize of $50 from Stop Ed, and we hope you had fun. It was certainly nice having you with us. All right, panel. Let's see what you can do with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, sir? Edward Davies. Is that right, sir? Would you tell us, first of all, where you're from?
Astoria, Long Island.
Astoria, Long Island.
That is right, sir.
Well, then, there are some people from Manhattan, mostly. Would you go over and have a brief visit with them, please?
Hello?
May I look at your hands, Mr. Davies? Thank you.
All right, Mr. Davies, will you come over here now, please, and join me? And as I think you probably know, at this point, we always give the panel one wild guess as to what your line may be, and we always begin these wild guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a Shakespearean actor.
A Shakespearean actor, Mr. Allen.
Looking at that flowery E on the blackboard, I think he makes pretzels.
Miss Francis.
I think he raises dill for pickles.
Mr. Cerf.
Well, if Mr. Davies isn't a floor walker at Saks Fifth Avenue, he's wasting his talent.
Nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Davies, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his lie is. Panel, we got it, Dave. All right, Mr. Davies, I don't think I have to explain the rules. You know them, I think. $5 every no answer. We rack up here 10 no's, you got it, all in the bag.
Right.
All right, Mr. Davies is salaried with that. Let's begin the general questioning with Mr. Allen.
Mr. Davies, is there a product connected with your work?
Yes.
Are there any times when I might possibly come into contact with a product of this sort?
Yes.
Thanks a lot. I gather from the reaction of the audience that this is something I would not handle on a regular basis, is that right?
Yes.
I gather from the increased volume of the reaction that this might possibly be something that a woman would use, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. I'm on to you people. Is this anything a woman might wear?
Yes.
What I have to do with that? Is it something she would wear under her outer garments?
No. That's 1 down and 9 to go. Miss Francis.
Then I may assume that if she wore it, it would show.
Yes.
Can you buy it in a store?
Yes.
Is it pretty?
Yes.
Is it functional?
Beg your pardon?
I say... Is it good for anything apart from its looks? Does it serve a purpose of any kind?
Except to decorate, you mean? I would say they're, no.
It couldn't?
No.
No.
2 down and 8. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, Mr. Davies, when a lady wears this object, is any part of it worn above the neck?
No. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Then it's all worn below the neck. Gonna get one yes answer tonight. Is this anything that a lady would wear after dark?
Yes.
Would she be more likely to wear it after, let us say, after the cocktail hour than at breakfast time?
No.
Lunch?
No. No, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not very expert about this, but I think we can flip that one. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Allen.
When she wears it, does it come into contact with the skin?
Yes.
Well, if Arlene were wearing one of these, would it be correct to guess that I wouldn't know it?
Yes, actually, Mr. Davies, I'm going to need help. I don't think I can help you. I would say this. I think that we would have to give you a no on that because we must go on the assumption that if you chose to know it, you could know it, and therefore we'll give you the no. That's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
In case you're worrying, I don't choose to know it.
Did we establish before whether this was decorative in any way?
Completely.
It has been generally
It's
established.
completely decorative and not completely useful, is that correct?
That's right.
And if I wore it, you wouldn't know it. I'd be a fool to wear it.
Now, don't misunderstand. What we have said is that if he wanted to know whether you were wearing it, it would be possible to find out.
I see. Is it anything that might be considered, instead of apparel, an accessory of some kind? I mean, like,
Jewelry.
like jewelry, false
Thanks.
fingernails,
Very
you know.
much. That's 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cerf. Thank you, Miss Arlene.
Well, I want to come back to this regional questioning, if I can. It isn't worn above the neck, you said.
No.
Is it worn above the knee?
Yes.
Well, now we're...
Yeah, that's right. I think we must say on certain occasions. Yeah.
Does any part of it sometimes drop below the knee?
Yes.
Would you buy this, could you buy this article in a store devoted exclusively to shoes and hosiery?
No. 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
I would like to get back to the matter of the hours when this is worn. Is this anything that Arlene, let us say...
Why am I the guinea pig?
I just don't want to get into this, whatever it is. That Arlene, if she were wearing it, would be more likely to wear in the privacy of her home than when she was meeting Steve somewhere?
Please!
No. 8 down. Eight down and 2 to go, Mr. Allen. I'm going to give you 1 more minute.
I presume this is made of some kind of cloth-like material. Is it a little unusual? In other words, is it something perhaps different than just cotton or silk or something?
Thank you very much. 9 down and 1 to go, Miss Francis.
Does this, would it be something that you put on to a dress or put on to, as a piece of decoration?
As a piece of decoration, yes. Well, we'll stretch a bit and say yes.
Yes.
You might use it as a bit of decor. Does it,
You take it. I'm numb.
Does Mr. Davies think that I own such a thing as he sells or manufactures? Would I be the type to own this?
Yeah.
Would I be the type that somebody may give me this for a present?
Might, yeah.
Is it valuable?
How valuable?
Costs more than 20 cents.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'll change it all. Is this worn at special occasions?
No.
I was
10
done
down and no
finding
more
out.
to go.
Just
Mr.
terrible.
Edward Davies makes leg makeup for Elizabeth Arden, no less. It is known as Velva Film, I believe.
That is
You girls
correct,
know
sir.
about this stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Never heard of it.
You never heard of it? You're not supposed to. Leg makeup. Yeah, I've heard about it,
We
Bennett.
were close.
You see what happens when you start publishing books and you get in the sanctuary of your office? You don't find out about things like leg makeup.
Our authors don't need it.
All right, Mr. Davies, you two have won the full prize of $50 from Stop It. Our thanks for being our guest. Nice to meet you. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we'll introduce our mystery guest, but first, an item of interest for all of you. Now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends in the panel would know our guest by sight, so as usual, they have on blindfolds. Are they all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel. As you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we dispense with preliminaries, get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Bennett Cerf.
Well, judging by the applause that you got, your face is quite familiar to the public. Has your picture appeared in the papers lately?
Yep.
A He-Man, eh? Do you possibly participate in some form of athletic endeavor?
Yep.
Gosh, I've been waiting for one fellow on this program for 6 months. I wonder if this can be the night. Would the sport that you play be baseball?
Yep.
Are you a member of one of the metropolitan teams?
Yep.
Are you able to manipulate the spheroid from either side of the platter? I mean, are you a switch hitter?
Yeah.
Did you ever hit a ball 563 feet over a fence at Washington?
Yeah.
How many?
562 and a half. Well, I've been waiting, and I'm hoping that we'd have on the program someday Mickey Mantle.
Mickey, I had my idea you and I should have gotten together before this here program, and I should have taught you a falsetto. Do you think you could do a falsetto? Let's see it. Let's try a high yup. Yup. You do. Yep. That's the one we should have used.
That Oklahoma accent, we came through, Mickey.
Well, I must say this, Mickey, the baseball season in good swing this year. As Bennett has already said, I can't think of anything that please any of us more than to have Mickey Mantle on. You've made some baseball history already, and the year has only just started. We wish you all kinds of luck and lots of long balls right over the fence. Thanks very much for coming to see us. Could you say good night, Mr. Bennett? Well,
John, this is the 8th week in succession. I was hoping it would be Mickey Mantle.
Well, we finally gave you your fondest wish, and you certainly, for the panel, won back all the honors for the evening. Now let's see what you can do with another challenger. Time is running out fast, so would you come in and sign in, please, sir? William Z.K. or L.K., I guess that is, isn't it? William L.K. Galloway. Is that right, sir? Would you be good enough to tell us, first of all, where you're from?
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. Well, would you now take a small walk? You see, you have some moral support, some friends from Washington, so you take a little hike down and meet the panel very quickly, will you?
Hi.
All right, Mr. Galloway, will you come over here now and sit down next to me? And at this point, we always let the panel have one free guess as to what your line may be. We always begin those free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a registered lobbyist.
A registered lobbyist, Mr. Allen.
Judging by the vigor with which he made those initials, I think he makes monogram belt buckles.
Miss Francis.
I think he mows the White House lawn.
Mr. Cerf.
I think he's a guard around the White House.
Nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mr. Galloway, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. Mr. Galloway, you know the rules, so I won't go through them. We'll keep the score of everything right up here. The panel has to start digging now, so Mr. Galloway is salaried, and we'll begin the general questioning with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
No.
That's, wait, one down. Wait a minute. Go through. All right, that's fine. That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
I don't think it's so fine.
You have a nice, healthy-looking complexion, sir. Do you work out of doors?
Yes.
I quit. Do you ever wear a uniform of any kind?
No.
A hat or any old thing?
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you work in any way around or near the White House?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
You ever work around a country club of any sort?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
This non-profit-making organization that you work for, Mr. Galloway, is that something other than the federal government?
No. There's the federal government.
That makes it 5 down and 5 to go. Mr. Galloway works for the federal government. Mr. Allen?
And he works for them outdoors, huh?
Well, that's, yes, we can go outdoors.
Must be a Democrat.
They're the only people outdoors.
Let me see.
They're not in Washington anymore.
Oh, my goodness. Are you licensed in any way, or bonded, or pounded, or...
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you carry any sort of protection, like a gun or a billy or anything like
No.
that? Nothing
No,
at all?
I don't think we can call carrying this bearing for protection. No, that's 7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you have anything to do with the president or his retinue?
No.
That makes it 8 down and 2 to go,
this is the
Miss
end.
Kilgallen.
Anybody want a conference?
You can have 30 seconds for a
No,
conference
it's
if
all
you'd
right.
like one.
Dorothy,
Thank you. I don't... Oh, go ahead.
is there a lighthouse in Washington?
Do you have anything to do with any sort of a thing, tool, product, or anything aside from your regular suit in your
Yes.
work? You do. Is it something that is used out of doors?
Yes.
Sometimes, yes.
Is it something that you can carry in your hand
Yes.
fairly easily?
Yes.
It's not too hard.
Do you then do something with this?
Yes.
Does it make any noise when you
Yes.
do it? Is there any ammunition or explosive attached to this?
9 down and 1 to go, and there's time for about 1 question or 2.
Do you
Steve Allen.
have work clothes of some sort?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. That's 10 down and none to go. Dorothy, you were just coasting right into high speed there because Mr. Galloway is a bagpipe instructor.
I wasn't coasting into high.
You were. So, Mr. Galloway,
Bagpipe
I would say that you have done a wonderful job. Beg pardon?
A bagpipe instructor?
Bagpipe
For
instructor.
what?
For the
bagpipe.
government
For bags.
teaches people to play bagpipes. You have won the full prize of $50 from Stop
Well,
It.
let him play a little something.
And our thanks for being our guest on What's My Line. All right, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a preview look at one of our guests whose line our panel is going to be asked to try and identify on next week's program. And next week at this same time, our panel of experts will be asked, what's my line, by this man. Would you know his occupation? Well, to find out some answers, be sure and be back with us again next Sunday evening at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, when once again, Stop It invites you to play What's My Line. For other localities, check your local listings for the date and time of our weekly series. And by the way, panel, Mr. Galloway is a civilian instructor for the United States Army Musical Department in the bagpipes, to clear up any confusion. And remember, pardon me, remember What's My Line on Wednesday nights on CBS Radio. Till we see you again, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Steve.
So that's where our money's going. Good night, Arlene.
Hootman. Bye, Bennett.
Thanks. One more week like this, we'll all meet in the 3-Eye League. Good night, John.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line.
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Codman production in association with the CBS Television Network.